Okay, so where to live for freedom in 2024. This is going to be a bit of a different video, and I'm sure you're probably wondering why is a photo of Singapore next to a picture of nature, like an abundance of land, and we're going to get into that. And I think there's two of the two countries that stand out to me as the best in the world for freedom for certain types of people. So one of them is going to be better for somebody that wants personal freedom, wants to own a firearm, wants to have an abundance of land, live for a very low cost. And the other one is going to be great for somebody that's worth 10 million plus, or wants to get to that point and live in a very safe, efficient country with one of the freest economies in the world. So what I look for in countries. So number one is the ability to be left alone by the state. This sort of is just a feeling of, not having every single aspect of your life controlled. Also, low financial control, i.e. free market capitalism. So, not having huge state controls on the economy, the ability to build a successful business without government intervention. Also, the ability to do with your land as you please. This is super important for me. You look at countries like the UK, it's a bureaucratic nightmare to build anything with your land. It's literally a nightmare to build anything. Also, the freedom to protect yourself. So, in a country like the UK, it's literally illegal to protect yourself. You're not allowed a weapon or anything like that to protect yourself. And if somebody attacks you with a gun and you protect yourself with a weapon or something like that, you will be the one going to jail, not them. So, it's a country that this worked like 50 years ago when the UK was extremely safe. It doesn't work in a country where people are getting, literally robbed with machetes on the streets of London every day for a watch. It's a failed society, in my opinion. And also safety. So, if you don't have the freedom to own a firearm or protect yourself, then I think the trade-off for that is having an extremely safe society where violent crime is basically unheard of. So I'm sure you're still wondering why Singapore next to this other sort of mystery country. You might have made it out what it is or not. So let's go into that country first. So why I think Paraguay is the best country in the world for personal freedom. So number one, Paraguay is a territorial tax country, meaning that any money you earn outside of Paraguay will not be taxed. So this is great because for the majority of people, if you're earning income online or you have a pension or you're earning dividends from a foreign company, you're basically going to pay 0% tax. So Paraguay is not interested in taxing your worldwide income like the majority of Western countries. They leave you alone. So for the majority of people, they're going to pay 0% tax, which is absolutely amazing. Also, Paraguay, in my opinion, has the easiest residency to get in the entire world. There's no income requirements. There's no minimum stay requirements. You can basically complete the whole process yourself in 2 days if you're having somebody help you. And you can basically renew it indefinitely for as long as you want. And also the ability to own firearms as a temporary resident. So you can literally, it's one of the only countries in the world that, I think it is the only country in the world that allows temporary residents to purchase a firearm legally. So you can basically go to Paraguay, get a temporary residence permit, and then a couple months later, you can, after having a simple background check, you can basically walk into a gun store and purchase a firearm legally. Also, this sort of ties into the next one, which there's an abundance of land. So outside of a few metropolitan areas, Paraguay is very sparsely populated. It's a great place to purchase a load of land, go hunting, have, a sustainable, self-sustaining sort of farm or something like that. And also an abundance of food and energy. But also, if you want more of that, like city life, it's like, I'm just going to be completely honest, it's not going to be like anything like New York or London or a mega city. Asuncion, the capital, is a very laid-back city. It for sure is a city, but it's not going to feel like New York. And that just, you're not going to go to Paraguay if you want to live in a mega city. That's just not going to happen. But if you want, a laid-back city, extremely safe, but with the amenities of a capital city, like great restaurants, then Paraguay is really good for that. So also it's located in the southern cone of South America, which is, if you're worried sort of about war and, there being a new world war or anything like that, in my personal opinion, I don't think there's going to be a nuclear war. I'm generally optimistic on the future of humanity, but I definitely think there's a real danger for these regional conflicts to spill out and become like sort of a conventional war that sort of spans these areas. And when you sort of look at these areas, you have Europe, you have the Middle East, you have the South China Sea, where free conflict, two are already happening, and you have a third which may happen in the future. South America stands out as the safest place in the world. There's just an abundance of food and abundance of energy that no South American countries are getting involved in geopolitical situations across the side of the world, sending military forces there, trying to drag the country into wars like Western countries do. So it's basically the safest place in the world, in my opinion, to live. Also, there's low state control in Paraguay, so you have this feeling of being left alone by the state. You can pretty much do whatever you want. As long as you're not causing any trouble, you feel very free and left alone. So now to the country that maybe you weren't expecting. So I think Singapore is the best country in the world for financial freedom. So if you're worth 10 million plus, or you want to get to that point, you want to be an extremely successful entrepreneur, I think Singapore is one of the best countries in the world to live. And in some cases, better than living in the UAE and Dubai. So Singapore is ranked as having the freest economy in the entire world. Singapore also has the safest banks in the world, also has an extremely highly efficient government. So if you want to get anything done, dealing with the government is a very pleasant process. Dealing with public services, Singapore also has the best healthcare in the world, one of the best airports in the world. It's also extremely safe, so violent crime is literally completely unheard of in Singapore. Also, Singapore has one of the best passports in the entire world, and it's a very non-judgmental country. If you're a resident in Singapore, it doesn't matter which country you're from, as long as you are a resident there or you travel to Singapore and you're on the visa-free list, they don't care where you're from. They're not going to judge you for your passport, for, any aspects like that. It's not that type of country. As long as you're, abiding by the rules, you're going to feel very safe, very free in Singapore. And it's an absolutely great country to build, highly successful, multi-million-dollar, billion-dollar business. I think these two countries are obviously for very different types of people, wanting to achieve very different things in their life. But I think both of them provide freedom. If you're somebody that wants to build a business, preserve wealth, you want to basically live in a highly developed country, then Singapore is going to be for you. Extremely safe, extremely efficient, low tax. You can build your empire there. If you're somebody that wants freedom, you want to live a very high quality life, very, very cheap, eat a lot of steak, stuff like that, own your own land, stuff like that, own a firearm. Paraguay is the best country in the world, hands down, for that. So I hope you enjoyed this sort of different type of video today. If you have any questions about these countries, or you have any other suggestions about countries you think, are really good for freedom, just comment them down below.